To the bill, Representative Chu.
Well, Mr. Speaker, this is a hard one for me. The Senate sponsor is a great friend of mine. I don't know anybody I'd rather travel down the road with unless it's my brother. I don't know that I've been this nervous since the last time I got on a saddle bronc in the buck and shoots. My stomach's churning. My family's been honored by many of you visiting our picturesque ranch. And you're not the first. The film industry has too. My first recollection is when I was young, Jeremiah Johnson. My grandpa was flattered by the chance to be on the silver screen. Many of the cast came and were very critical of our operation. Our corrals are good enough to handle thousands of the animals, but not good enough for Hollywood unless we glamorized the facilities. We adjusted for their convenience, but never saw a second of screen time. We had movie scouts come out a few years back and looked at the ranch before they went to Montana. My boys wisely said, "Dad, we don't need this." And I'm wondering, will the sponsor yield?
Representative Handy, will you yield?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Mr. Speaker, do you know who Robert Leroy Parker is?
Yes. Butch Cassidy was his...
That's correct. Butch Cassidy, that's an alias. Hollywood glamorized a thief and made a martyr out of him. All Utahns, myself included, we have a connection. We claim a connection to him. Butch Cassidy and my great-granddad went to prison for the same crime, cattle rustling. Butch served a full sentence. My granddad got pardoned. In my office, I have my granddad's pardon. The reason my granddad was pardoned was because of my great-grandmother. She was a part of what Utah is famous for, great women. She argued his case and got him home where he was needed to raise the family. Granddad talked about the pathetic conditions thieves lived in. Lice in their beds, cold camps under a rock overhang, always looking over your shoulder. Are we selling ourselves short with this? My brother Alan operates the flagstone mine my grandpa had. Grandpa sold his building material for $45 a ton. My brother tried to sell it for $50 a ton. He didn't get any of it to move. One day a guy from down here in 33rd South called him and said he could use 50 tons if my brother could get it there. I helped him haul it out there. And when we got there, the old guy said, "You know what, Alan? You're underselling yourself." He said, "You ought to market that rock for $150, not $50. My brother and I decided maybe it'd be a good idea for him to try $200, then he could back down. He had more orders than he could fill for the next while. He was definitely underpricing himself. My grandma lived in an old house. It had one hole in each side of the foundation to let the air out. She had a mouse problem in her house. But one summer a skunk moved in under her house and the mouse problem kind of subsided. She had to adjust her life a little bit because all summer she never knew where she might encounter the skunk. And that's not even the part of it. After the skunk left that fall, the smell remained for months. John Wayne fell in love with Utah, and he made America and the world fall in love with the cowboy hero. I may be the only one on the floor who got to grow up with the real cowboys John Wayne portrayed. I know the life I grew up in is gone forever, and I'd give anything to go back in time to the bunkhouse of my youth. I'd love to share with all of you the smell of lard fried potatoes on a too-hot wood stove, the sound of fire crackling in the fireplace, the smell of strong coffee, cigar pipe, and Prince Albert tobacco smoke, and to be able to sit down and play a game of muggins, crabbage, draw, or stud poker with Uncle Harry, old Don, or Ben, and hear the stories of real-life cattle drives, the stampedes, or the cold, lonely night herding or having your horse shot out from under you in World War I on the French battlefields. The foolish and fun things and the bad stuff even that they done in Rock Springs or Craig, Colorado at the end of the drive. And some of those are things that a teenage boy probably shouldn't have heard. But the scores of imprinted advice, like always treat a woman like a lady, probably helped shape the person I grew up to be. It's not the brutal, vulgar, disrespectful, pornographic phoniness that Hollywood sells today. It makes me wonder, if it is about the money, should we reflect what Shakespeare said in Othello? He said, "He who steals my purse steals trash. 'Tis something, 'tis nothing. 'Twas mine, 'tis his, and has been slave to thousands. But he who flinches from me my good name robs me of that which not enriches him, but makes me poor indeed." In rural Utah, we deal a lot with introduced species. We have cheatgrass all over the state, salt cedar, tamarisk, and Russian olives sucking up our water and changing the landscape, all brought here with good intentions. Rural Utah, wake up. We don't have to venture too far to see the effects of encroachment. Park City is lost. Heber, Oakley, and Camas are being invaded. The paparazzi that follow the celebrities around are disgusting and care nothing about what they mess up. They actually slither. Are we like my brother and underselling what we have, or like my grandma and we'll have to learn to live with the smell? Hollywood does not portray the women or the families of our state, and it will never be the reason rural Utah stops exporting our kids, but we may wind up selling our morals for a fistful of dollars. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Chu. I guess I'll allow that when you use Shakespeare in your floor speech. So.